Good morning and welcome to our latest webinar to introduce SAP Business One to yourselves. There's a number of people registered and logged on today, so I will present the solution to you as we go. If anyone has any questions, you'll notice on your screen there is a section for questions. Please ask them and I will come to them later, or as we go, as they pop up, I happily will answer them for you. If there's any questions after the session today, again, more than happy to have a direct conversation with you and actually discuss these options with you. So from a perspective of SAP Business One and Ascarii, a little introduction to Ascarii so you know who we are. We are an SAP Business One Gold Partner. Since our company started 10 years ago, we became a Gold Partner in 2013. And that means that we have a wealth of experience of dealing with SAP Business One. But also, we were the first partner in the world, and there's 850 partners for SAP Business One that sold SAP Business One in the cloud. So cloud has always been our expertise, and we have a purpose-built cloud platform built on AWS, Amazon Web Services, and it's very reliable. And in fact, so reliable, the other part of our business is called Cloud for Partners. And Cloud for Partners is offering our purpose-built cloud platform for SAP Business One to all the other partners around the world. That's growing exponentially. In fact, we're going to a couple of SAP summits soon, one in Orlando and one in Dublin, where we will be talking to other partners, mainly about Cloud for Partners. So it's a rock solid platform. It's wholly reliable. It's all built on AWS with all their standards. So you know it's 99.9% uptime. And it's going to be a very secure place for you to put your information in business. Cloud is something that people are asking for progressively more and more. This is not slowing down, it's growing that way. And if any of you are used to an on-premise system or in fact used to a smaller solution than SAP Business in the cloud, you'll be pleased to know SAP Business One is growing much more that way. SAP have completely focused on the cloud itself. And SAP Business One, the summits themselves I mentioned earlier, are actually have the strapline pathway to the cloud. So it's their main focus, and it's not theirs alone. We know lots of software companies are all moving that way, and more importantly, customers are too. A nice thing about it, there's no upfront costs. It offers predictable billing, but there is flexibility built in there too. So with our customers, we choose whether to go majority a monthly or quarterly build. Some ask for annually, but not many. But the point is, the choice is yours. We like giving choice to our customers. Another good thing as well, one of the things I'll show you in the software presentation shortly is the version I'm going to show you is actually built on the HANA Database, which is SAP's own in-memory database. So historically, when people bought systems such as SAP Business One, and they were buying on-premise, they'd have to buy a server which could cover for at least 3 years worth of data and processing. Whereas, and you can see that so much of the space in year 1 and 2 was not utilized in that server, so you're paying over the odds. The biggest difference with cloud is it grows as your requirements grow, and it can also contract that way as well. So if your business shrinks for any reason, you can actually shrink down what your hosting solution looks like too. So you have a lot more flexibility. It's a very compelling total cost of ownership. The vast majority of our customers now rent the software as opposed to buy the software. So they don't own something that's just a piece of paper at the end of the day and some software installed on a server and then pay annual maintenance. The monthly cost is the monthly cost. That's what you pay per user. More than happy to share costs with you after today's meeting in more detail if that's prudent to do so. It's, we've already touched on, it's very flexible and scalable. One of the nice things we do at Ascarii is a full build service, which we don't charge for the initial build. So when we're building your platform on AWS, it's whether it's a multi-tenant platform or whether it's a dedicated service unit that we make specifically for you as a business, we help configure and create that for you, so you don't have to do anything other than just wait for it to be switched on. And compliance-wise, AWS are the market leaders in delivering cloud solutions that comply with all legislation around the world. So if you're in the UK, that's fine. But if you decided to open up in Thailand or in China, AWS are already there. So from a compliance point of view, you're always covered. And then finally, just from a security perspective, AWS is as safe as you're ever going to get. This is where governments, military, those sort of people are putting their data and their top secret data to. It's incredibly safe, and at tier 4 top level security level is everything you will ever need to keep your business and its information safe. So that's a little introduction on Ascarii and our Cloud for Partners side of the business. So here is a typical view of what you can see in SAP Business One. So as you can see, I've currently got on a number of dashboards and widgets. So just to explain the screen to you, the menu across the top is context sensitive, so it lights up as and when you can use it. What you can also see are a number of these boxes. So for example, I'm currently looking at the software from a sales process perspective. But what you can do very easily is change that and go into a finance or a purchase or a stock control view. So if I quickly go into finance, it rebuilds the screen for me, and this time it's showing it from a financial angle. So this time we're looking at data that's relevant to the finance department, but you now have a financial process to go with that. So any payments, journals, reconciliations, period ends, if you want to go into edit the chart of accounts, you can do it all from the screen, as opposed to having to go into the menu here, the hamburger on the left-hand side, and open up the full functionality in the system. We'll come back to the menu in a little while. But as you can see from here, that's a very different view from what I had before with sales. And it's again different for purchasing, and it's again different for stock control or inventory. So what we also have on here are things like common functions. So these are ones I typically use in a demonstration. So what I've done is to the menu, as I showed you a moment ago, gone into the right place and dragged it from there and dropped it into this box, into this widget. So it means I can now go into a business partner master data record. And just so you know, a business partner can either be, well, it can either be a customer, it can either be a supplier, or it can be a lead that can be converted to a customer once you've won them as a customer. So CRM is built into the system as well. That just allows me to open up directly a business partner master record, or an item master if I'm looking at a stock record, or go into the chart of accounts, or create an opportunity, or look at the opportunities pipeline we have. So this is defined by each person in your business. You would always want your own common functions that are exclusive to you, because everyone has a slightly different job function. The other widgets, sometimes they are counters. So you can see they have a number. If it's red, it's normally bad. If it's green, it's good. You can also see that you've got a trend icon as well. So the more data you put into your system, the more this will show you visibly on screen, on your main screen, without having to do anything else. It's a visual stimulus to go and either act upon it or do something. What we also have are things like graphs and charts. We have things like my recent updates. So these are the last few things I did in the system. And then down here, we've got things like messages and alerts. So you can send messages to each other, much like MSN from the early 2000s that we all used. There's that sort of functionality built into the software. So you can send each other messages even if you're in different parts of the building, or in fact, different offices entirely, or working from home. And you've got counters, that sort of thing. This is all really easy to change. All I would need to do is go up to the pencil and I can manipulate and move the screen around, or I can add more widgets to this screen. And there's around 50 of them that come standard with SAP Business One. But the beauty is that we at Ascarii, we can teach you how to create your own, including more complicated overviews of customers and suppliers. KPIs and dashboards are fully covered within the solution. And it's something you can start to learn to do yourselves, which we know a lot of your peers, a lot of our existing customers actually really appreciate that. When they've got someone internally who wants to learn, we teach them. They never have to ask us to do it ever again. So that's the screen layout. What we also have is an enterprise search. So you can go into there and just type whatever you want and it searches your whole database for it. So if you're on the phone to a customer or a supplier and they ask about something you're not sure of, you just type in the code or the name of the person they're asking about who's not available, and it will find everything to do with that person or that code and show you every transaction that went with it. Very, very useful when talking to customers and very powerful. It's well liked by your peers. Things like cash flow forecasting is inbuilt because it's an all-in-one system, and this is one of the key differences between SAP Business One and a lot of other point solutions out there, is that it's one version of the truth. So if something comes in as goes out as a quote and is converted to an order, it's immediately updating every part of the system that needs updating, including your financials. There's no double entry. All of it is done, and it's all configured in that way. And this is the nice thing about Business One as well, is that it's highly configurable without having to bespoke the solution at all. So upgrading to a new or later version is much simpler than when you've got to recode changes and bespoke work that a lot of people do to many systems out there. So it's a much easier process to do. What we also have, as I say though, is the menu system. And as you can see, there is an awful lot to SAP Business One. So this includes, I'm currently logged on to my demonstration system as a super user. So I have administration rights, so I can set up multiple companies in the system, because this whole solution has got the capability of doing well, basically consolidation and also intercompany trading. So you can have multiple companies, multiple languages. There's 28 languages built into Business One as standard. And you can also have multi-currency, any number of currencies. So you can buy in one currency, sell in another, and be paid in another quite happily, and report all to your base currency. Most people in the UK are sterling, but not always. There's also something I'll show you later called the web client. So I'm currently logged on to SAP Business One via remote desktop, but the web client is where SAP is spending a lot of money, and they have 3,000 people globally just working on R&D for SAP Business One alone, never mind the other SAP products out there. Business One is designed for an SME, especially a growing one, because it's something you're very unlikely to outgrow. The largest client of SAP Business One in the world is in China, and that's got nearly 1,000 users. So the majority of people we deal with normally are a handful of users, but our biggest customer in the UK has got over 120 users. So very diverse, very flexible, and can cope with growth, company growth, and more people's demanding use of the system. So we'll talk about web client a little later. You can set up exchange rates, and this can also be linked dynamically to a bank quite easily. We can set up things like approval processes. We can add in workflow, alerts management. But unless you're an administrator just doesn't appear. So if I go into the spanner here, you can see I can switch it off and update, and it updates my screen and it removes it. So whichever of these modules are not relevant for any of your users in a company, you just switch off the bits that aren't relevant. But I'll switch them all back on for now, because we're just doing an overview. But when we do a tailored presentation to you, we can actually show it the screen with only the things relevant to you. And really quickly taking you through this, financials, as you'd expect, SAP were the global market leaders, or still are the global market leaders for ERP systems around the world. They invented ERP in the early 70s, and financials have always been the bedrock of those systems. So financials in SAP Business One are no different. It's all fully accredited by the ICAEW, and everything you expect it to do from a legislative point of view, making tax digital, GDPR, and anything new that comes in, like at the start of last year with the changes of Brexit. They changed the localization from being UK and Ireland to being UK only, and then Ireland became part of the EU as a localization sat within Business One. These things are always taken care of ahead of time, and that's the beauty of investing with someone like SAP, is that they have the resources to make sure that is always done, and it always is. As I touched on before, CRM is built in, opportunity management, sales and purchasing, the business partners we will look at in a second, linking to your bank account, reconciling your bank statements with your payments. Stock management is really strong in SAP Business One. When it was released in the UK in 2003, it was rock solid financials and really good at stock management, because it was mainly created for a stock holding business. It's improved immeasurably over time, and additional things have come in, like around the production and MRP, service management, relevant to some companies, not relevant to others. HR's now in here, and project management is now in here. So you can run both internal and external projects within the same core system on the same database. So your reporting is improved because you're only reporting from one source of truth. That's what your peers like. That's why our customers have purchased SAP Business One. So I'll switch the menu off for now. If I go into Business Partner Master Data, this is what, and I'll make it full size for you. So currently I've got user-defined fields switched on, but because we always supply SAP Business One with a product called Buoyant B1 usability package, that's from a company that's accredited and used by the vast majority of Business One partners around the world, and they're all ex-SAP employees. They've made the usability package in the fact that it allows you to change anything on your graphical user interface, the GUI, as we're seeing now. So we can add fields, we can hide tabs, we can make things mandatory, we can add workflow, all through configuration, not bespoking, because that upgrades with every new release of SAP Business One. It's proven in use. So these user-defined fields, while they're there, you can actually switch them off and they disappear. And anything you had on them, you could actually put them on the main screen. As you can see, there's plenty of space for these things. So if I go into a customer, I think the first one on here is MaxiTech. Yep, so you can see it's a customer as opposed to a supplier or a lead. And in here as well, you've got various things to record information, general information about the business, who the contact people are, anything you want to record about them. You've also got the ability to record multiple people against that account, multiple ship to and bill to addresses, what your payment terms are, your payment run details, which banks it links to, your accounting, so which ledgers in your general ledger it's going to link to. And then we also have standardly throughout the system things like properties, remarks, and attachments. So that's really powerful. So properties, this allows you to record up to 64 properties of your making against anyone's record, whether it be a customer, supplier, a person, a stock item, absolutely anything, a manufactured item, the whole works. You can actually choose what you're putting in here, which is great for reporting and for marketing purposes, because then you could pull out the right people to market to with the right requirements around these things you're recording. Remarks is a mini WordPad, so you just type what you like. And attachments is where you can attach relevant files to this account. So if you had a contract with them, you could attach it here. If they had a drawing of an item that you are dealing with, you can attach it here, or at the item level as well. So there's no limit to how much you record. If you go down the multi-tenant hosting path, there is a goodwill limit of how much data you store, but there's nothing to stop you creating more space and buying more space on AWS. That's the whole beauty of it. You're never going to be limited. We also have down the bottom a lovely button called You Can Also. So if I click on that, you can see I can review service calls, activities, opportunities. Activities are phone calls, meetings, web meetings, emails, anything you want to record as an activity against a customer, a supplier, like a CRM. But it's great as well for things like credit control. So your credit controller can actually start phoning and chasing debt and actually saying, well, fine, you owe us this, you've promised to pay us this, I'll set myself an activity for 2 days later after that to give you a call if it hasn't arrived. There is more functionality around aged debt as well. Dunnings is built in to SAP Business One, so you can start to automate the sending of letters and the charging of interest if any aged debt occurs. But also, as well as viewing things here, you can see we can also create them. So there's lots we can do. So if I create a sales quotation, because we're coming from the MaxiTech record, it automatically knows you're making a quote for MaxiTech. So in here, I can type in a reference number. Most people don't for quotes, but you can see what the posting date is, when it's valid to, and you can set these rules behind the scenes in configuration and what the date of the document is, and you can just choose what you're selling. So in my demonstration system, it's simple computer hardware. So if I say it's this office printer, I'm going to say it's 10 of them. It knows the price automatically set up for this customer, and you can have various pricing cost groups and also various discount groups, and you can set the rules of who fits into what. So you don't have to go away and look at a book and actually work out what the selling price should be. The system will do it for you. And likewise, if you were putting in, if you had price breaks and discount breaks against certain quantities, it would automatically calculate at line level, or it could do it at the footer here. So as it goes, you're putting in information. Everything you can see on this screen is fully customizable. It deals with dropship as well, your accounting, where it goes into the attachments relevant. If you can master one screen in SAP Business One, your peers will tell you you've mastered the whole screen and every screen in the whole system. Very simple to operate in that way. And what we have here is the ability to add a remark, but I'm going to add and view this as a quote. I've got a green message at the bottom saying it's completed. And now down here, you'll see we've got a copy to. So I can easily copy that to a sales order. Now I could make the customer reference number mandatory. The delivery date one is. So if I try and add and view that, it'll actually say no, has got no delivery date. So it even takes you to the place you need to put it in. So I'm just going to put today's date in, and there are shortcuts, as you can see. I just type in T for today's date. I'm going to put a reference number in as well. And this time when I click add and view, it now converts that quote to an order. I'm going to do a delivery, and then I'm going to do an invoice. And you'll see the links between orders. So this delivery note now, you can see it's based on that quote, based on that sales order. It starts to build an audit trail of everything we do in the system. So that's fine. I'm going to add and view that, and yes, I'm happy to continue. And then we will copy that delivery note to an invoice. I won't bother with a return, but returns is built in as well. So if you, as a business, do work with returns, you can deal with that too. It's warning me that they're over their credit limit. Now I've got my rules set up to say, okay, warn me, but I can ignore it. What you can do with different people in the business is actually have different rules. So you could have someone who's just started and saying, right, okay, you can't take an order because they're over the credit limit. Someone else might be able to take the order, but it can't then be actioned until something has been paid off on their debt. In my case, I'm just going to continue. So I'll add and view that. It gives me the warning again, and the invoice is then created. Now I've completed that run. If I close all of these other ones down, so you can see that the quote, the order, and everything is not there anymore. It's just the AR invoice. If I right click on this screen and go to relationship map and see there's a lot of things we can do here. But if I go to relationship map, it shows me that AR invoice, which has still remained open because we haven't been paid, has come from that quote to that sales order to that delivery, and they're all closed, hence the padlock is closed. Now this can explode as a diagram because a quote could turn into multiple orders, which could turn into multiple deliveries and multiple invoices and payments. It would show you that complete history graphically, and these can move around. You can zoom in and out depending on how many things are on the screen. This is loved. Everyone loves this. It's really useful because not only is it showing that there, if I double click on the delivery, it brings up that transaction again. So you can easily get to where you need to be without having to go and look for it in a long time. You just bring up the relationship map. There's everything that's linked, and you can drill into any of them. Within the business partner master record as well, there's a few things on here I want to highlight. The golden arrows that you see here are all drillable. So anything with a golden arrow in SAP Business One, and it's a lot of golden arrows, you can go into. So for example, if I go into the opportunities here, you can see these are the open opportunities I have with Maxitech. If I click on Maxitech, it would load up this business partner master data. If I go into, same with the BB code, But if I go into the opportunity, it brings up the opportunity with Maxitech. So in this case, it's got some detail there. The general information, there's not much in here, but it shows you the stages we've gone through. And as a business, you set the rules. So some businesses like this, others don't. So, you know, some people actually put in percentages against each stage as they're working through an opportunity. And you have the ability to log in what partners and what relationships you have, any competitors, and start logging your threats and any remarks there. The summary, whether it's an open, won or lost opportunity, and any relevant attachments, whether they be drawings, whether it be a contract, whatever. So that's really useful. That drill down is there everywhere with a golden arrow. What we also have, as I mentioned before, is the ability to have an opportunities pipeline. So this is where you can actually have various salespeople, and you can actually then start to slice and dice the data and look at all their opportunities, at what stage they're at and what actions they've taken and so on. And that really links in with the CRM elements. So in here, they've collated everything together. So there's the business partner master data again, but you can create activities here. We can do campaign generations with a wizard. You can look at various campaigns. You can look at opportunities we've just done. We can create sales and quotes and orders as we've just done. We can look at a customer 360, an overall complete full circle of that customer. And we can also go into CRM reports, of which you can look at my activities or as an overview. You can look at inactive customers, your campaigns list, and so on. There's a lot of reports in Business One, and you're not limited to that. You can create your own very easily. You can get our help at Ascarii if you want us to help you, but there's so many ways of getting the information out of the system. I think you'll be more than covered. From a sales, as you can see, is when we open at sales, there's lots of things we can do. So we can deal with down payments, we can deal with invoicing, we can deal with recurring transactions. There's the Dunning wizard I mentioned earlier with credit control. There's the ability to set up blanket agreements for both sales and purchasing. So if you agree with a supplier to buy 1,000 items a year, you can set up a blanket agreement with them, hopefully get a better price, and then just call off as you need. Likewise, it's reversed with your customers if it's a sales blanket agreement. So that's all there. Purchasing is very similar to sales, but in reverse. Business partners we looked at, banking, and just so you can see financials, it does come with a standard chart of accounts, which is very comprehensive. All of these cabinets as we've got here, we've got assets that we're looking at now. I can click onto liabilities, capital and reserves. You're not limited to these codes. These are the standard SAP ones, but 99% of our customers design their own as part of their build. And what they also do is that you can go down to 10 levels on each of these for reporting purposes. It's a lot more complex then, and not many people need to go to that level, but you have the capability. That's the important bit. Choice is everything. But everything you'd expect in financials is there, including fixed assets out of the box. Some systems out there still don't have fixed assets as anything other than added extra. You can set up your fixed assets, you can set up your depreciation rules, and it will start doing all the calculations for you. So the idea of this system, when it's working properly, is helping you as a business to manage by exception and do less of the mundane. Banking, as I say, is affiliated with financials, but you can upload very easily your bank statements and start consolidating against each other and set the rules of what matches and what doesn't match. Stock management is worth a good look. So most of the businesses we deal with do deal with stock. So when I click on item master data, this has a similar look and feel to the business partner master data, but this time it's for a stock item. So in this case, this office printer is something that we stock, we sell it, but we also buy it because we don't make it. If as a business, any of you online today manufacture items, you could actually purchase things at BOM level, so you don't actually have the end product, whatever it is, as a purchased item. So this is where you set those rules. And as you can see with this office printer, it's in an item group. it's in a unit and measure group, it's in its own price list, of which there's any number of price lists that you want to have, any number of unit of measure, and any number of groups that you want to have. This is all your choice and how you want the system to work. But as you can see with the tabs across the top, purchasing wise, it shows you who your supplier is. Your preferred supplier is Acme, but you can have multiple suppliers, but your go-to one is Acme for this particular item. Sales, it's recording different information. So the unit measures for sales could be completely different from purchasing. You could buy in pallets and sell in eaches or in packs of 10 or 12, depending on what you're selling. So unit of measure is always different, or typically different, between sales and purchasing. Stock data is really useful because the idea of SAP Business One is it understands multiple warehouses, has that concept, whether they're real or virtual. So we have customers who've only got one warehouse, but they've virtually split it into multiple warehouses, including sometimes a quality warehouse. And behind the scenes, we can set the rules with that B1 usability package to actually say that anything that's currently in quality control is not visible to sales, they can't sell it. Those are the sort of things we can do very easily. So as you can see with this printer, there's in stock 378 in one warehouse, the backup warehouse is 30. If any were committed to orders already or more were on order, it would actually show you what's available here. So it's great at doing that. Planning data, with any of your items, you have the inbuilt MRP. It's an MRP1 engine. So in here, you can either have MRP or none, but MRP is just a big calculator. So with the wizard, you can actually say, right, okay, well, we've got this many in stock. This is our forecast for sales. This is how many orders we've already got, and this is how much we've got on order. Can you tell me, SAP Business One, have we got enough stock to fulfill the orders for the next 2 months? If not, make some suggestions to me of what we need to buy or make. And it will do that. And then you, as the end user, can then make a decision on whether you agree with the findings or not. The decision's always yours, but it takes away that number crunching, which takes ages, especially when people are doing it in Excel, which is very, very common at SME level. Production data are only relevant if it's something you produce. So in this case, there's backflush or manual. Backflush is quite simple. If you're making 20 printers, it understands all of the components involved in the bill of materials, and it will then downdate the stock levels, even at component level, by as many as you are expected to use when you've finished a production run and allocated the stock into the system. So that's all backflush means. Properties, very similar to what I showed you before on the business partner master record. In here, you can get another 64 items properties that you might want to record against something, and then remarks and attachments as before, mini word processor, and attach whatever documents are relevant to that stock item itself. So that's very comprehensive. It has the concept of barcodes. If you have a warehouse, you can introduce, and we've actually got 3 different barcode scanning solutions that work, because Business One understands multiple locations, multiple warehouses, barcodes, all of those good things, but it doesn't come with the actual scanning operational equipment. That's where we have 3 different solutions, 2 from Boyum, 1 from another source. Depending on which one best fits your requirements, we would make a judgment call and recommend the right one to you and explain why. And we'd have a discussion about it. But in here, you know, you've got various prices and pick and pack. You can actually start picking goods from the warehouse, either just then using it as a kit to make something, or just packing it up ready for dispatch. So stock management is really strong. Resources is useful if you want to start recording information about any machinery you have or the people, the labor you have. So what we can do in here is, if I go through them, you can see this is a testing machine, and you can say what a lot of information about it. So assembly machine, you can say what the capacity data is, where it sits, what the planning data, what hours it works, if it's a fixed asset or not, properties, attachments, remarks again. But this can also be labor. So you can actually start putting in your people's details, what hours they work, and so on. So you can start to, from a resource perspective, work out, can you deliver what you're promising your customer on time? and that again works with the MRP engine. Production, if it's relevant, this is where you'd record all your bills of materials. So again, just a few examples in here. There's a very simple printer, just a very simple setup. But you can actually see you've got multiple levels that you can have in here, whether it be item, resource, text, or root stage. So you can build a quite comprehensive bill of materials in SAP Business One. That will then allow you to create production orders, and then you can issue for production from stock, and you can receipt from production for your finished goods. So lots of things you can do in production. I'd say about 40% of our existing customers for Ascarii are in the manufacturing area, but the next 40% are in wholesale distribution, and the rest are a mix of financial houses and various things out there, service companies. But the vast majority are people that hold stock, and quite a lot of them do kitting at the very least, if not full production. So this is really quite useful. MRP we touched on. It allows you to do forecasts. It has a wizard. So wizards are liked by SAP. Nice and simple. Fill your data in, click next. Fill your data in, click next. Get your results. And then it will, as I said before, come out with what it recommends you should be ordering from your suppliers if you need to. Service, if it's relevant, it allows you to create service calls, set up equipment cards. Service contracts are really quite useful for a lot of people. So you can actually set up your own standards, whether it be gold, bronze, gold, silver, bronze, that sort of thing. You can also set up a solutions knowledge base. So if you are dealing with products that you need to provide support information on occasionally, if it's a really common theme, put it in here. So no matter whether someone's experienced in your business or new to your business, they will be able to look at the solutions knowledge base and answer that question for that customer. So service is covered. And just so you're aware, there is a sales and a service app available both on Android and Apple iOS on the App Store, where you can actually have people utilizing those apps on their mobile devices, linking directly to your one database. There's no syncing or anything like that. It's just a live link. So as long as there's an internet connection, and let's face it, in the UK, most places do have it now, you have full access to service information and sales information from your mobile or your iPad. Human resources, whilst I don't claim this to be a full-blown made for hundreds of employees, reading people's moods and looking at who could take over another person's role, that sort of thing, this is still much better than a lot of the smaller SMEs we deal with, where they don't have an HR system, or if they do, it's separate. So in here, you'll be able to record all your information. So this warehouse manager, George, you'd be able to put in his both his work and home address, his memberships, the administration in here. You can start recording absences, education and reviews and so on. It links to timesheets if you want to record timesheets, personal information, financial, and then remarks and attachments. But where this really comes into its own is that it also links to timesheets, and it also links to project management, because when you're starting to use people in projects, you can actually start allocating their known costs against that project. So if I go into a project here, you will see, I'll give it to work, here we go. You can say whether it's external or internal. So let's look at one that's already in here. This is an external project for Maxitech, where we're installing a new server. So you can see the start date, the due date, how far we are with it. It's linked to a financial project as well, so it's affecting your financials. But in here you can actually put, so we've got a summary at the moment, we're looking at budget, profit values and works order costs. The overview is just that. The stages, so you can actually start to see what all the stages are, how complete you are, and depending on what type of business you are with projects, some people bill at stages of project. So you could actually say, right, when we get to this stage, we bill them. We get to that stage, we bill them then. This is a nice, simple project management solution, all built around that one database. And of course, there are a wealth of reports. As I said, there's reports on every aspect of the system. So, but you're not limited to that. That's the key. Now this is the core main system, but behind the scenes as well, have I got it behind, or where did I put it? There we go. Just looking for one. That's the one I want. I'll just drag this across. Now this is the web client. Now this time you can see I'm not logged on via remote desktop. I am now logged on directly from a website, but it's still to the same demonstration system, same company name. So in here I can raise quotes, I can deal with CRM matters, I can deal with orders and purchase orders, I can create them and all those sorts of things. I can buy things. What you also across the top is you don't have to scroll up and down, but if I wanted to go to service, it goes straight to service. Now, service calls, create service calls, look at the solutions knowledge base, create a solution is all built in. Service is the latest part of the solution that's gone into the web client. Later this year, projects and other aspects are coming in. More and more of the core functionality is coming into this web client. But what you can do, because it's a web browser, is just have very nice looking reporting. So if I go into the report section, it builds all nice graphs and charts that tell me what's going on. So sales amount by quarter and showing you which areas we're selling into, sales and profit by month, net sales amount, gross profit. You know, and you've got a variety of styles of reports that you want to report on. So you choose what works for you best. But the whole idea is that we can create new reports. This is becoming increasingly popular. And if any of your users can use just the web client because they're in the core system itself, and that's all they do, is if they work in sales and purchasing or deal with customers or service, they don't need to be in the core system. So whilst the license costs are the same, the hosting costs for a web user only are considerably lower than the costs for someone going in via the core system. So there's a whistle-stop tour of SAP Business One. Are there any questions? I'll just have a quick look to see if anyone's put one through. No one has as yet. Are there any questions that anyone would like to ask or cover off today? And I do realise there's multiple people on today, so if people are a bit shy in coming forward, as some are, please contact us afterwards. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions directly, and then maybe show you a more focused presentation specifically around your business and your industry, because I do know I have some people on today from a variety of different industries. So I've tried to give you an overview of the whole package. Just to finish, there are nearly 80,000 businesses now utilising this solution worldwide. 80% of those are SMEs. So growing SMEs certainly look to this solution as a way of bringing their business forward with better reporting, less time-consuming tasks, and more access to the right information at the right time. The other 20% are actually now larger corporations who've got the bigger SAP products. They are actually buying into SAP Business One because they realize it works really well for some of their small startups. So a new warehouse or a new small factory in India or something in that way. They don't have to put the bigger SAP products in that take ages to implement and cost a lot of money, because SAP Business One does talk to the bigger SAP products. There is that mechanism is available. So it's very much a case of that a lot of people like that. I've had experiences of where I've had a small niche manufacturer of exotic metals, only had really one big customer, and that big customer used SAP. So it made sense for them to invest in SAP Business One. Conversely, we've got other people out there who are doing lots and lots of trade online. That's their bread and butter. SAP Business One has a very strong API. There are multiple ways of interacting SAP Business One with outside sourced information, whether that be a Magento 2 website, a Shopify website, or anything else really. We've got customers who've integrated Business One with their CAD/CAM systems, and the list goes on. So lots of flexibility, lots of power. It's certainly the market leader in the world for a growing SME, and it's, well, I've not come across anyone who's outgrown it. And we have some very large customers, as I mentioned earlier, utilising the solution and it works really well for them, but it works just as well for someone with 2 users. That's the beauty of this. There's a finance company based in London I sold a solution to 3-4 years ago, who run over 50 companies for their group and do all their financials centrally in Marble Arch in London. They run all of those companies in SAP Business One and do intercompany trading and do all the consolidation. They bought it because they wanted that power of SAP behind it, knowing full well that investment isn't going away and the support will always be there, because even in the UK, there are 25, UK and Ireland, there's 25 SAP Business One partners. We're one of the few gold ones, but the beauty is that if you ever fell out with your partner at any time, you have somewhere to go. When you're dealing with an author directly, if you fall out with them, you haven't got much of a choice. You either carry on working with them or you move your whole system to somebody else. So we quite like that model. And the reason why we like that model is that it's up to us at Ascarii to give you the service you need to make sure you're happy and want to stay and work with us. That's what we're striving for. So I can see there's no questions. I'll close the session for today. If you have any more questions afterwards, as I say, please reach out to us at Ascarii. We'll be more than happy to help, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you so much for your attendance. Speak to you again. Cheers now. Bye-bye.